Hello everyone, Paul from High Tech Legion. And here's a debate that I see a lot of people going over on our YouTube channel, and it's the debate of when a manufacturer releases a new product, which should they release first and which should they lead up to? A lot of times manufacturers lead off with their flagship product and then they trickle down as time goes on to their mainstream. Sometimes they do it vice versa. They'll launch the mainstream first and then they'll work their way up towards their flagship. I kind of have a theory about this. Now, this is of course my opinion. If you release your flagship first, you're going to get the sales of the enthusiasts who constantly are purchasing different video cards or processors or motherboards because they can afford it. And when I say enthusiasts, I'm talking about the ones that like to collect things and like to have the best at all times. So it doesn't make you less of an enthusiast if you're a collector, but if you would I classify a collector, those people are the ones who usually purchase something as soon as it comes out. It's the latest, it's the greatest, it's the best. That's where a lot of the meat and potato sales goes to for those types of launches. But of course, where do they sell the most? The mainstream is usually what sells the most. So a lot of mainstreamers feel a little bit slighted that they don't get to have their choice of a new card before maybe an enthusiast card comes out. Well, in all honesty, the way that I kind of look at it, seeing it from two different perspectives and actually being out of the game and getting everything in a sense that I need now, I could see them doing the enthusiast cards first because they're the ones that they know, the people who enjoy to have the premium stuff are going to jump off it doesn't matter if they bought a card 3 months ago, they're just going to jump right off and buy a new one. Mainstreamers, on the other hand, are the ones who keep their cards for 2 or 3 years. They don't upgrade every time a new mainstream product comes out. So not to say that this hurts you, but I'm figuring that what these marketing people are thinking is that we'll go ahead and launch the flagship, we'll trickle down to the mainstream, because if they launch the mainstream first, their sales are going to be blasted in the beginning, and then as they trickle up, sales are going to drop off. So what I think they want to do is they want to go with where the sales are going to be the lowest and then trickle off to the highest. So sometimes, yes, it causes the mainstreamer to wait. But unfortunately, think about it this way. When a brand new product comes out, sometimes it has a little bit of bugs in it. Isn't it better to kind of wait until they get the bugs out? Think about it. Of course, NVIDIA has launched a new mainstream GPU on the Maxwell side, the 900 series, and we'll be looking at the EVGA GeForce GTX 960. This is the super clocked version, and it has ACX 2.0 cooling. Branding is very important. I could basically just take a short look at something and recognize the brand. And of course, EVGA has a very recognizable box and branding. So if this were happen to be on the shelf, you're going to recognize that it's an EVGA just by even looking at the box sometimes, even without seeing the logo on it, because they have a very special way of doing it, of course. But let's take a look at the box anyway. GDDR5, does have the EVGA logo, ACX 2.0 Plus, GeForce GTX, of course the denomination, supercharged, and of course their #1 in sales logo. On the back of the box, we have some specifications on this side. We have a picture of the I/O plate and a picture of the card. Nothing too spectacular, but it does get its point across if you were going to pick it up off the shelf. On the inside is their famous clamshell box. They have not changed to anything for a very long time, so of course you're going to get the clear plastic clamshell. And inside of the clamshell, which is actually on the outside, of course the video card's inside of there, are a couple accessories that they give you. Now this is something which I just don't know why they're still giving these things, but it's a DVI to VGA. Well, you know, hey, I've got about 47 of them. If you want one, give me a ring, I'll give you one. You know, I've got too many. And then, of course, a 6-pin to an 8-pin connector. Also accompanied with that is a sticker for your wall or for your case or wherever you want to put it. And a nice EVGA poster. Let's see if you could catch that. Of course, I'll end up ripping it now because I opened it, but in any case. And last but not least is the owner's manual. Inside of that you will get a case badge. Owner's manual has multiple languages, etc. You're going to get a quick operation guide for the GeForce 960 series. And one thing that EVGA does, which I will tell you, I think is kind of important, especially with these 0 dB fans, they actually put a notice inside telling you that the fan's not going to turn on until it hits between 60 and 65 degrees Celsius. I happened to not read the box of one of the cards that I was doing once and thought it was broken until I called the manufacturer. They also put in a little insert about the ACX 2.0 plus cooling. And hopefully you can see this. This other insert actually talks about their award-winning products, and right in the center there is the High-Tech Legion Editor's Choice Award. So we're very honored for that one. And last but not least, our driver disc. Moving on to the card itself, let's go ahead of what clock speeds it has and stuff like that before we actually take a full look at it. As for the clock, it's at 1279. This is a pre-overclocked card, and the boost clock is 1342. It's got 128-bit memory, 2 gigabytes of that, GDDR5, and it's at 7010 megahertz. What EVGA has done to ACX 2.0 cooling is they've added downswept fans. They also have dual ball bearing. They are dual ball bearing, and they have a low power motor on them. So what that's going to do is it's going to actually increase cooling by about 26%. It's going to increase the efficiency as quiet, meaning making it more quiet, by 36%. Fan power is going to decrease by 250% on this, and you're going to get a 400% longer lifespan of your fans due to the motor itself. The next thing that they did was they went ahead, and if you could see over here, we have 3 heat pipes. These heat pipes, instead of being curved now, are straight. So they're on a straight line. They run straight across and back across the GPU itself. So you get better disbursement of the heat. Now, what's the best way to travel between 2 points? That is a straight line. Now, the next thing that they've done to further enhance this cooling is they put a plate here. This is a memory MOSFET cooling plate. Basically what it does is it's going to cool the MOSFET. You're going to get better cooling. It's going to take the temperature off the MOSFET, make it cooler, higher stability for overclocking. So everything that they've done is to enhance this to give you better overclocking. Also, EVGA uses a 6+2 power supply on this. So you're going to get an 8-pin power connector. Looking at the shroud, it's made of hard plastic. It says EVGA up on the top. Of course, we have the EVGA logo here in the front. On the I/O itself, we have 3 DVIs, we have an HDMI, and we have, display ports, an HDMI, and 1 TVI. Also, as you can see, we do have some nice ventilation in the front of it. It is PCI 3.0, and of course, it is SLI ready. Another thing that EVGA has done is there's two modes on this. This has the dual BIOS on it. Basically, dual BIOS is what you could do with the dual BIOS is if you're tweaking and you're doing different things and you kind of fork one, you could actually use the other. But this also has a dual purpose for it. Up on top here is a switch. So it enables two modes also. If you could either put it on quiet mode, which is for the 0 dB fan, or you could put it on low power consumption mode. And basically what the low power consumption mode does is it's going to spin the fans, but it's going to spin them very low and keep them on at all times. So let's take a look at the benchmarks, and then I'll go ahead and give you my final thoughts. After looking at the benchmarks, you probably realized that the EVGA super clocked version either performed just as well or better than the other models we tested. It also went neck and neck with the 285, actually beating it out in the end by about 5 benchmarks to 4. The EVGA superclocked is one of the lowest priced models that we have tested. It's only $209.99 to get all the extras that you're getting. Other manufacturers that we've tested for their custom boards are charging anywhere between $214 and $229. So at a price of $209, that's a great bargain for what you're getting with this card itself, especially with the ACX cooling, the overclock, etc. Talking about the overclock, we did test 5 cards. This had the second highest, actually this had the highest overclock out of the cards that we did test. And since it did have the highest overclock out of stock, on stock benchmarks, it benchmarked very good. As per overclocking, when we did overclock it, we got a 1544 megahertz maintained boost clock on it, which was actually the second best out of all the cards that we tested. So that's quite impressive. But what you have to remember is you also have to look at warranty. You have to look at different things. One thing that I've found with EVGA throughout the years, they have one of the best warranties on the market. They have one of the best RMA policies. They have very quick turnarounds. That's also a factor that you need to consider when you're considering cards. We're going to go ahead and give the EVGA GeForce GTX 960 super clocked an Editor's Choice Award. Based on its price, based on its performance per watt, and the added extras that they give you. That is why we're doing this. As per temperatures were great on it. It didn't top over 70 degrees, but unfortunately, I should have started testing this in the morning, which I did after the actual review, and I got better temperatures. Florida is kind of weird nowadays, and we have some cool mornings, but in the afternoon it gets warm enough to where you really don't need the air conditioner, but you might want to put it on. It's kind of one of those deals. Basically, when it was cool in the morning, and I will usually don't like to give the morning temps because, you know, I normally don't benchmark in the morning. But basically, if you saw the benchmarks and you saw the temps, I was actually averaging 5 to 7 degrees below what I actually got when I actually tested the card. So the ACX cooling does do very well. It is silent, even with the fans on when it was spinning at 60 degrees. We were only getting 842 RPMs out of it, and it was quiet. So I'd like to say thank you everyone for watching this video. Make sure you go ahead and subscribe to this channel now. Click subscribe. Visit us at heightechlegion.com for the full reviews. Also, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. Remember one thing, High Tech Legion sponsors all their videos. Stay thirsty, my friends. We'll see you the next time.